Hello, my name is Tim Burley. I'm the Divisional Music Director of the ALM Division, and welcome to the Brass Class. This class is a beginner class that is geared towards those that have never played a brass instrument but would like to learn. Let's start off with some things that you'll need. This is a short list, but it's a good place to start. You'll need a stand, a chair, a metronome, which you can find on the App Store on your phone, and of course, your instrument. Before we start playing, let's talk about how you should sit. You'll want to sit with good posture, and here's an easy way to do that. You can take the back of your knees to the front of the chair, and while keeping everything from the waist up still, just bend your knees and sit down. This is called sit standing. This is a good posture to be in because it allows our lungs to move freely within our rib cage, and that allows them to expand so that we can get as much air as possible for playing our instrument. You'll want your knees to be a little bit below your waistline so that your lungs can expand fully down. And now from here we're in good playing posture, where I can expand fully when I breathe and my back is nice and straight. Now before we can start playing, we have to talk about how to open the case. So here are some ways to figure out how exactly to open our case. One is if you have a label on your case, in this case it's Yamaha, that should be facing up. That's a good way to know that your case is the right way up. It's best to open your case on a flat surface, preferably on the floor in front of you, just in case any mistakes happen. You don't want it falling on the ground. Go ahead and pause the video now and open your case. So I have my cornet here, and now that your case is open, I'd like to identify some of the things that are in front of you. Most of you will probably only have two things, and that is one, the mouthpiece, and two, the instrument. The two parts of the trombone that I have in my hands is the bell and the slide. The way that we put it together is we take the longer piece on the slide and we place it in the opening or the receiver of the trombone at a V angle. From there we would tighten it just like you would screwing the top of a bottle, and we want to make sure that it's at a V so that we can hold it properly. Now that we've identified some of the parts of our instrument, I'd like to start with the mouthpiece. The way that we create a sound on a brass instrument is by buzzing through our mouthpiece. Now when I say buzzing, I really mean vibration, specifically vibration of your lips together. It sounds like this. The way that we create that vibration is with two things, air and firm corners. That's it. In order to create vibration, which is how we play our instrument, is with air and firm corners. Now, the way that we can change pitch on our instrument is by vibrating faster equals a higher sound, and vibrating slower equals a lower sound. And if I try that on my mouthpiece, I can vibrate fast with fast air and firm corners, or I can play low with slower air and more relaxed corners. Go ahead and take a moment to pause the video and see if you can produce a good buzz on your mouthpiece. Remember, all we need is vibration. In order to create vibration is good air out and firm corners. Welcome back. Some of you may have had some success in producing a good buzz on your mouthpiece. If that's you, I continue to encourage you to use steady air to try to keep your sound nice and steady with no waves. Some of you may be pinching your lips at the center too tightly. It may sound like this. Something that I want you to focus on is keeping a nice soft center, almost like you're saying the word like when you think of your favorite food. Keep that center nice and soft. Some of you may be playing with your corners a little bit too loose. I want you to try something, or just imagine with me that you have a coffee stirrer in your lips. When you blow out, you have to keep those corners nice and firm. This is what it would sound like if maybe your corners are a little too loose. You're having trouble getting that note to speak. Go ahead and try or imagine that you have a coffee stirrer and put it in the center of your lips. Bring them around it together and blow through that coffee stirrer. Alternatively, you can say the word pickle, pickle, pickle. When you say that P in pickle, you bring those corners together nice and strong. Pickle. Now, that was talking about our lips, but there's another thing that we have to think of when it comes to vibration, and that is air. Some of you may be overblowing, and that's not quite the sound that we want. Now, alternatively, some of you may be underblowing, and it just sounds a little weak. Make sure that you're taking a good breath and that you play with nice, steady air. Now, once again, take a moment, pause the video, and continue to practice your buzzing. When you have success, try to remember what you were doing with your air and with your corners so that you can try to reproduce that and recreate a good sound on command. Welcome back. Hopefully you're having a little bit more success producing a good buzz on your mouthpiece after some of those tips. Now we're going to talk about how to put the mouthpiece into your instrument and how to hold your instrument to play our first note. The easiest way to put our mouthpiece into our instrument is by holding our instrument with the lead pipe facing up, and we can just drop our mouthpiece down using gravity and give it a little bit of a twist. We want to avoid really twisting it in there or hitting it in there, because then that causes it to get stuck or it can even damage the instrument. Now, if you've put your mouthpiece in like that, it stays in there pretty strong, but it's also easy to just twist and pull out. Now let's talk about how to hold your instrument. I'm going to start with a cornet, and I like to think of two C's. We start with a C in the left hand and we wrap it around the valve casings. Some of your instruments may have a saddle on the first valve for your thumb, and some of them may have a third valve ring on your third valve slide that either your middle finger or your ring finger can go into, just to help you support the instrument. And then we also make a C with our right hand, and we put it resting on top of the valves. Notice when I do that my pinky does not go into this pinky ring. Make sure that you're pressing straight down on the valves and not having a flat finger type situation. Some of you won't be playing on a cornet like I was, so now I have an alto horn in my hand. This is a similar shape of a baritone or a euphonium or a tuba, and you'll hold them all pretty similarly. You'll have it supported with your left arm, and make sure that you bring the mouthpiece to you. Now, just like the cornet, my right hand keeps that same C structure, and I continue to just push the valves straight down. Now lastly, we have our trombone. Remember, we take our slide and our bell and we put it into the receiver and secure it. And make sure that we have a nice V shape. Now when it comes to holding our trombone, we can make an L with our left hand, putting our thumb on this brace and our pointer finger on the mouthpiece receiver or the lead pipe. And we can take two fingers and our thumb in our right hand to grab the slide, and then we lift it into position. Now, some of you may have smaller hands, and that's okay. You just may need to make that V a little bit closer in order to account for the length in your pointer finger. Now that we've talked about how to produce a good buzz, how to hold our instrument, and how to put our mouthpiece into the instrument, we're going to end today by playing our very first note. Now the way that we play a C on our valved instruments is by pressing down 0 fingers. The way that we play a C on our trombone is by keeping it all the way in first position. Now at the beginning of the video I mentioned a metronome, and all a metronome is a device that we use to keep a steady beat. I'm going to have my metronome set to 80 beats per minute, and I'm going to play a C for 8 counts. And 1, 2, ready. ahead, pause the video, start your metronome, and see if you can also play a C, no fingers, or first position on your trombone for 8 counts. Congratulations, you just played your first note on your instrument. Now, some of you may have been playing a little bit too high, and that just means that you've been vibrating too quickly, your air is a little bit too fast, and your corners are a little bit too firm. All you have to do is slow down your air. Alternatively, maybe some of you had issues getting up to the low C. Make sure that you are supporting your corners and have good, solid, steady air. And that's the end of lesson 1. Hopefully you've had a good sound producing a buzz on a mouthpiece, and you had some success playing your C for 8 counts. For the rest of the week, I would like you to focus on just being able to produce a good, solid buzz on your mouthpiece. See you next week.